and noon check-in. We'll talk about Adrien Broner. Um, could you imagine? Could you imagine in the NFC Championship game just last week if five-time or six-time Super Bowl champion uh, Tom Brady, if he just said he was going to skip the NFC Championship game against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers? Could you imagine if Tom Brady or if they didn't face if he didn't face off with Drew Brees in the divisional round, I believe of the in the NFC playoffs? So to see Adrien Broner disregard a potential fight with Regis Prograis, I'm just wondering, what BS are you going to try to sell people to be relevant? And for those that don't get emotional and those that aren't attached to these fighters and just, homers for the dudes that they like, this really isn't a diss to Adrien Broner as much as just trying to have an honest conversation. For Regis Prograis to come out and say and speak glowingly about the fight, hey, it's a great fight, me versus Adrien Broner. Even though we don't, being honest with fans, even if we don't have a championship belt between us, it's still the biggest fight to be made in the division. And I'm not gonna lie, I can somewhat go along with that. We don't, diehards, we might really be interested in the undisputed fight between the two champions in the division, in Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. We might dig that fight a whole lot, but I think it's a higher level of I don't know. There's really no superstars in boxing, really. One or two, I don't know, but it's at a higher level in my opinion if we were to get Adrien Broner and Regis Prograis. So then the discussion goes over, I guess Broner was on with Brian Custer on his Last Stand podcast, and he just dismisses the fight and says that at this point in time, a fight with Regis Prograis doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't understand what you're talking about, bro. Like, you have no path forward to a title at 140 pounds because of the fact that the two belts are over with Top Rank and Ramirez and Josh Taylor. So, like, what are you doing? Like, he's one of the fortunate fighters, especially if you want to say black fighters. He's one of the fortunate fighters that have a decent following and a brand, if you will, with his whole AB thing, Can Man, whatever. But just to choose not to really do anything with that moving forward is at least disheartening. And February 20th, they're doing a fight with him in the main event. They just named his opponent. I'm not even tripping off of Giovanni Santiago, who's like 14-0-1 with like 10 knockouts, been in and out of the game, has a victory over DeMarcus Chop Corley. I'm not even tripping off of that one. You've been inactive. I'm not even tripping over that. I don't have much of a problem with that. But to look down the road and not have any kind of ambition towards doing anything significant or doing anything big, to just disregard that fight, it just takes me back to, as a fan and observing this thing, why do I continue to give a damn about boxing? Then you got last week when we had the super bantamweight fights with the WBO championship between Stephen Fulton and who took down the reigning champion. This is his first defense, and Angelo Leo. And then the awesome performance by Raif Salim over Vic Pasillas. That's about the best we can get. In all honesty, that's about the best that we can expect. Odd thing is, we didn't even get. It's Thursday. We don't even have any numbers on the Showtime. What the TV viewing numbers were, which was just interesting to me because I wanted to see kind of what's out there for the super bantamweight division that has a lot of talent standing around, assembled right there. But getting back to AB, like, again, how do you just dash? At least you could have said something, left it more open-ended. But just to downplay it like you have something better to offer people, like you really don't do anything up at 147. And like I said, it's not a whole lot of talent that's on the PBC side. It's not a whole lot of talent that they have as super lightweight. So what's the plan? Like, give us something to be excited about, man. I mean, when you watch these other sports, when you watch the major sports, the infrastructure is already there for a a division championship, a conference championship, some playoffs, a postseason, like a semifinal type championship, and then a Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, the World Series. All of that stuff is built in for those organizations. We get over here to boxing, they got to figure this stuff out. They got to try to put together and scramble to put together a compelling season, with each calendar year. And I understand that COVID-19, the pandemic, I understand that that's hampering a lot of big time planning. Although we have a couple of things out there. But like I said, to sit here and dismissively talk about a fight with Regis Prograis just kind of signals to me nothing to get excited about with the return of Adrien Broner. Nothing really to get excited about. Just coming back around. Can you get another check or two? Can you take as little risk as possible? Not exit the game with any kind of real challenge or embarrassing loss. Minimize all of that. And try to make something that somebody is going to look at as an event. But like I said, you have the name recognition, the AB, about billions. You can get you some different, whatever the hot rapper is at the moment, to do the ring walk with you. You come out there and say it's big time, but is it really big time? It looks like the fight is going to be, it got bumped back a week to February 20th. Like I said, Hovani Santiago is the name. Okay. Valine, damn, I forgot who Valine was going to fight. But anyway, I'm most intrigued by Robert Easter Jr. taking on Ryan Martin. I can't remember, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember whether Ryan Martin had a title when him and Josh Taylor met. But again, here you are fighting. Here it is, big brother. Adrien Broner is taking on somebody we know nothing about. Brazil, that's who it is. I'm like, damn, I was drawing a complete blank. What's up, Mr. Boxing, man? Good to see you, bro. Appreciate that. And the check-in. I know you ought to be getting busy with the heavyweights this weekend and whatnot. But here it is. Big brother is up top facing somebody we've never heard of before. Understandably so. But we have Robert Easter Jr. down here in a hell of a fight based on where he is in his career, him moving up at 140 and trying to make some noise and whatnot. Of course Mr. Boxing would know who the heavyweight matchup was. that's dope. But yeah, based on what we saw with Robert Easter Jr. coming out of a so-so performance against Adrian Granados. They threw a lot of punches and whatnot. He won the fight. But, it definitely looks like it's tougher work for Robert Easter Jr. at 140 than what it was at 135. And to come over here and at least fight a guy that has the experience that Ryan Martin has in facing a Josh Taylor, I think he was stopped by him in like the fourth through seventh round, somewhere in there, the mid rounds. I'm most intrigued by that fight, to be honest with you. So like I said, you have a responsibility, you have a name, you're a four division champion. How are you gonna close out the latter part of your career? And I'm saying, I don't expect you to go out here and just face anybody under any circumstances and not, weigh risk reward and whatnot. But again, you're talking about returning to the championship level and all these big plans based on how you've handled or mishandled your career to this point. You might have to give a little bit. You might have to give a little something in order to get back to that position. So you might have to face a guy like Regis Prograis, who doesn't have a belt. You might have to do something exciting and unexpected, like Floyd facing Canelo at the time. You might have to do something different that we wouldn't expect you to do. I expect you to fight, I don't even know a comparable name to throw up off the top of my head, but I expect you to fight, I can't even think of nothing. But I'm just saying, man, it's difficult to get excited about boxing. It's difficult to get excited about boxing when the people who box and a lot of the people who organize boxing, when they don't have any energy and any enthusiasm towards the sport that they make a living from. You get at the end of these fights, guys don't want to call anybody out. Especially, I've mentioned this before, with the exception of the Charlos, maybe, Caleb Plant here and there, maybe a Chris Colbert. PBC guys really don't say anything. They come out of these fights and I just see what Al put in front of me. I mean, you got Spence out there trying to plot and plan to create certain events. AB is tough as nails, but he is entering glorified gatekeeper status at this point, in my opinion. I agree. And like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect the man. And if the plan is just to kind of find a way to string together 2 or 3 fights and get on out the door, I'm completely with that. I'm just saying, you almost doing like you just said, you almost doing yourself, your legacy a disservice in thinking I'm gonna put bullshit fights on as I get out the door. And it is what it is. Like I said, I think I don't know if he beats Regis. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably lean towards Regis in that fight if I was giving my official opinion or winner of that fight. But I think it's a winnable fight, and might even be a matchup that could turn into a little rivalry, and there'd be a two fight, 2 fights, or maybe a trilogy or something. We don't even see trilogies in the sport no more. We know the Wilder situation just fell apart. I'm not even gonna go into that. But I just think, man, like I said, it's unfortunate. You want to see certain guys come out and be excited about their career, so that excitement translates to fans, and people want to see it happen. And it's really not a lot of guys that's out there trying to do anything exciting. It's really not anybody continuing to sell the sport. And then there's no mechanism in place to make any of these big fights. There's nothing in place to get these, I can't even call these guys the 4 kings, but these youngsters at lightweight, there's nothing to make those guys fight one another or to get the promoters to get together and put anything together. There's nothing to make that happen. So like I started the video, where would the NFL be at the end of the season if last week Brady said, you know what, I'm gonna go on and stay down here in Florida. The rest of the team, y'all go to Green Bay and take down Aaron Rodgers. I don't really want to risk. I don't want to risk the head-to-head record, whatever it is, between Rodgers and Brady. I don't really want to risk a loss in that rivalry. So I'm gonna sit this one out. Y'all go get the victory for me, and then I'll meet y'all in the Super Bowl if y'all win. Man, where would the NFL be if it did that? NBA, we got Brooklyn doing everything in the world to try to be the team with KD to potentially meet LeBron James. And I hate it. I hate the practice in the NBA, but they're doing everything in the world over there to, at the end of the season, for LeBron to face somebody that's formidable. Definitely don't want to see the Bucks there with Giannis and as bad as that situation has become. But again, like I said, it's things in place in these other sports for either the best brands in the sport, franchise-wise, or the best names in the sport to face one another. And in boxing, all we got is weaseling out of this and moving and ducking, and I'm going to try to give the people what I want to give them. I'm going to dangle this out here. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know why we continue to to tune in. So, like I said, man, if you get a fight like last week, when you get two young guys, undefeated guys in a Stephen Fulton and Angelo Leo, that might be about the best we gonna get for the next several years. It might be about the best we can do. We'll see what happens with Regis Salim after his phenomenal performance. Where does he go? He's not even ranked in the WBO. So can he face Fulton? I mean, they got some new rankings will come out and potentially set that up. But right now, he's not even in the top 15. March 13th or whatever, we get Chocolatito and Estrada. I got to tune in and catch it. That might be about the best I can get. Anyway, check bitedownboxing.com out. I had an article out there. It's a little further down on the sheet on the page now, but it had the first quarter for 2021 with the best fights that were out there, in case you missed it and want to know what's coming up. But Adrien Broner, man, I mean, about billions, That's your name. Anyway, man, bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Have a phenomenal day. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Peace.